My name is Juliana Nykolaiszyn with the Oklahoma State University Library. Today is Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016, and I am in Erick, Oklahoma, Beckham County, to interview Charlene Davis as part of our Cowboys in Every County Oral History Project. Charlene, thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you for coming.
Well, let's learn a little bit more about you. Could you tell me the year you were born and where you were born?
I was born in January 24th of 1942, and I was born at the Sayre Hospital.
And tell me a little bit about your parents.
My father, well, we were farmers, and everybody worked at farming, but specifically, he grew cotton and wheat and ran cattle, but he also had a herd of cattle, and he would milk them each morning, and we would refrigerate the milk, and he had a cream separator, and he'd run the milk through and separate the cream, and we would take that into Sayre on Saturdays to sell the cream to the creamery. And then in addition to that, my mother and I would we would deliver quarts of cream, and the cream was like sour cream. In other words, you could pull a spoon through it and it would stay separated. It was a lot of butter fat in it. But Mother and I would, various ladies in Sayre would buy our cream and our eggs, and we would deliver eggs. And then Saturday was a big day for all of us. I got to go, if there was a movie I liked, I'd get to go to the movie, and I'd get a bag of popcorn. Never did want to drink with it, but I ate it slow enough and it's good. And then I would also go to the library, and I would bring home an absolute armful of books from the library. In fact, when I was pretty young, I was reading Silver Chalice, and I was impressed by me. But anyway, every Saturday, like I said, it was a town day, and we would sell our stuff. And then another exciting part about it, and it's where you come from, but all our meals were cooked at home, and Mother was a tremendous, wonderful cook. But Saturday night, after we'd been in town all day, Daddy would buy a box of Post Toasties and some bananas, and we got to have Post Toasties and bananas for supper. And it was a treat for us. I mean, normally it was eggs and bacon and toast and things like this, but that was our treat. And Mother was from Elk City, and she was a 5-foot-tall lady and very pretty, and Daddy was a handsome guy. And we were active in the church. In fact, the first house that I lived in was just about a quarter of a mile south of the church. It was a Baptist church that my grandfather had founded. And in fact, I have pins, and I think at it and I go cluck cluck, because I have pins for attending Sunday school continuously for 18 years.
Wow.
In fact, my aunt and uncle had a lake in South Texas, and they invited us down, and we went down, and they had to take Charlene to church so she could get to her Sunday school. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
How did your parents meet?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. And are you an only child, or do you have siblings?
I have a brother that's 2 years older than I, and then I have a sister who was 9 years older, but she has passed away.
Okay. And tell me the names of your parents.
My parents, my daddy was Amos Robert Green, and Mother was Frances May Penick, P-E-N-I-C-K.
All right, so you're growing up outside of Sayre on a farm. Mm-hmm. Chores. Did you have chores?
Yes. And they were typical. I did not like, Daddy had built pens for our chickens, and you had to reach in the box to get the eggs, and there were bull snakes in it. So you learned to take a stick and prod around in there so you wouldn't stick your hand where a bull snake. I did not like it, but I had to do that. He tried me on milking the cows, and that's how they were all milked. They were hand milked. But I did not have enough strength in my hand, and I made the cows give up their milk, so I lost that job. Thank heavens. And I had to hoe weeds in the cotton fields, and there was a tree in the center of the field, and it wasn't that I really needed to go to the bathroom, but I needed to go to the bathroom a whole bunch because I got to go over to the shade tree for a little bit and cool off a bit. I think, Daddy did not make me much of a worker, but yet I look at what I've done since I've become an adult, and I think I worked just as hard as I would have on the farm. Mm-hmm. We would pick cotton, and Mother made us bonnets, and the slats came out about this far in front. I mean, no sunshine was supposed to get to my face. And Daddy had put a 50-yard or 50-foot sack on my around, and then you walked and you pulled the cotton and so forth. And I really I'd get to the end of the row, and of course he had a really, really long sack, and he was doing 2 rows, and he was moving, and I guess I was just filling time. I don't know. I never did really get my heart into that, because I'd get to the end of the row, and he'd weigh his sack, and he had 125 pounds, and I'd weigh mine, and it'd do well to have 10 pounds. But once again, my tree was still over there. And so that's where, I would be able to take my breaks. But that was one of our main chores, because everything on the farm, it took all of us to make it happen.
Well, you mentioned your mom made your bonnets. Did she make other clothes?
Oh, very definitely. In fact, everything I had was homemade. And then I learned to sew. I was in the 4-H program, and I had a pair of curtains that I made for that went to the state fair, and they won first. I showed livestock and 4-H. And interesting story, most of my calves were, I'd get first or second. I don't think I ever had any champions. But I had a Duroc hog that I had showed in Beckham County, and it won grand champion. So, had really, really good possibilities. And now this is a fun thing about it. Daddy hooked up to a cotton trailer. That's the only kind of trailer we had. But he had our animals, and he had to have the feed, and we had to have everything. And we started 152 to Oklahoma City, because that was the route that you would take. And I don't know, 3 or 4 times tires would blow out. And so he would unhook from the trailer, take the tire, go to the nearest town, get it fixed, and bring it back. And we finally made it to the city. Well, I had this good hog, and it was in the hog barn. It was time for me to go show. It was state fair. Well, the hog got excited, and we were chasing the champion red Duroc hog all over the fairgrounds. Well, needless to say, by the time I got him into the show ring, he was not show quality at all. Little things like that make life interesting.
Well, you're talking about 4-H. When you started to school, where did you go?
I went to Sayre schools.
Okay.
I rode the bus.
I was going to ask how you got there.
I rode a bus.
Mm-hmm. So on the bus route, were you among the first or the last or somewhere in the middle to get picked up?
Kind of middle.
Mm-hmm.
It still took a long time though, but you know, all I had to go home was work. But yes, I worked, but I read an awfully lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked school. I can remember when I was little, Daddy had a 5-gallon creamery can by the back door. And my brother and sister were in school, and I really felt mistreated because I could not go to school. I would have been in kindergarten, and there wasn't any transportation unless Mother and Daddy did it. We didn't have that kind of money or time. Anyway, there was this guy from Sayre. He had a mobile station, and he would bring gasoline to fill up Daddy's tank. And his name was Jimmy Widget. And I would sit on the gas can and I'd call him Wimmy Ginget. And we had more fun. And then the grader guys would let me ride in the graders every while. You know, these were big treats when you were too young or not able to go to kindergarten.
Well, when it came time for you to go to school, kind of describe your elementary school for me.
I had a wonderful first grade teacher, Mrs. Smith, and I loved school from the very first minute until, 38 years later? No, it'd be more than that. I really did. I loved school, I loved learning, I loved being able to interact with the kids and have friends and do things together, and I liked it. Fourth grade, my Mrs. Lawrence, our teacher, she asked us all what we wanted to do, and I said I wanted to be a teacher. And you know what? I went to OSU and I graduated with the exact number of hours that were required to be a teacher.
Were your family, were they very supportive of education?
Oh, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They, any involvement in school, any parent involvement, they would be part of it. And they encouraged me. I know they bought me a saxophone, and I played the saxophone in a marching band, and then I was a drum major, and I was trying to think whatever else. I went to Girls State in 1959 as a representative from Sayre, and that was interesting because I think it was the business and professional ladies that had sponsored me. And I was attending a 4-H camp at Quartz Mountain, and we had a little bit of time in the afternoon, and one of the ladies was going to pick me up and take me back to Sayre for my report back to the group about my experiences at Girls State. And so I had climbed up, and I put my foot on a rock, and I looked down at it, and there was a snake. And I didn't know where the head was or where the tail was. But anyway, needless to say, I didn't work much on the speech that I was going to give. So my presentation to them is I sang some of the songs that we sang at Girls State. And I thought, that's about as good as anything. Why not?
Would you ever attend 4-H Roundup?
Oh, very much so, yeah. Many years. I went to Stillwater. In fact, Lana Ruth and I gave a soil conservation demonstration on waterways. And we had worked on it and prepared it and everything, and went to Stillwater where we had to have grass because, we were showing how the water washes more quickly without grass. And so we went outside the dorm and we borrowed a little bit of OSU's grass to give our demonstration, but we did win a grand champion on it, so surely OSU forgave us for our little swatch of grass that we got.
As you're progressing through high school, how did you figure out that OSU was the place you wanted to go?
Well, I was going with a guy, and he was going to go to OSU, and So I went with the family to a lot of ball games at OSU. I know once we were driving home and he was asleep and I got lost, and instead of coming down like through Cheyenne or Sweetwater, I was at Arnett, Texas, and I thought, oh dear. But you know, we got it fixed. We found home. But yeah, I attended all the ball games. In fact, when we were at OSU, we didn't miss many of our football games. I loved the basketball. I always said I like basketball, but first of all, it's in the indoors. And you don't have to deal with elements, and then I just like, in fact, my grandchildren, all their basketball games, of course Erick didn't have football, but Clinton did. I go to all my grandkids' sporting events or any efforts they give. I will be there.
So what year did you graduate from Sayre High?
1960.
Okay, so 1960. You graduated from Sayre High, and you're heading to Stillwater?
I was already in Stillwater.
You were already in Stillwater.
Yes.
So, because of the guy?
Yeah, and yeah, we were married then.
Okay, so
and in fact, I finished my first semester at Stillwater High School, and all I lacked was I can't even remember. I only liked one course, and I took it by correspondence.
Okay.
And I finished, and then I came back because Stillwater said you had to go to their school to graduate there. So I took my correspondence, got all my credits, and then came back to Sayre, graduated with my class.
Okay. So tell me how you met your husband.
4-H.
Okay.
Basketball games. Sayre and Erick playing.
Okay. So you're in Stillwater, you're a freshman at OSU, you're married.
Got a baby.
Okay. And when was your baby born?
April.
Okay. Of 1960?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Where are you living in town?
I was trying to think of, I think it was 7th Street, because I know the car had to take my husband to work.
Okay.
And I can remember walking to the Safeway, and I'm pretty sure it was a duplex on 7th Street. I know my first semester that I started at OSU, I walked and I carried my baby, and I walked and left the baby at a babysitter's. And why in the world I ever did this? But I took swimming. Mm-hmm. And by the time I got through swimming an hour and picked Susie back up and got home, I was just absolutely worn out. Sure got me in shape though.
I think it may have been required at that time. I think you had to take swimming.
Well, I did, but I thought, and you know, like I said, there was one vehicle, and that's went to work, and so, you know, whatever groceries, I waited till the car got home or went, and in fact, I remember one day carrying a sack of potatoes, and I thought, oh, I don't think I'm going to buy this skin. We'll wait till we have a car.
What was your husband studying?
Animal husbandry.
Okay. Okay. So you have a baby, you have a husband, and you're going to school.
Yeah.
And that is tough.
Well,
tough.
It's how you approach it. I did not think so.
Okay.
Like I said, I enjoy school.
Okay. So,
and you know, you adapt. You do what you have to do to make your grade.
That's true. That's true. So tell me about some of the classes or professors you remember fondly, or maybe not so fondly.
Interesting. In the education field, I got really close to some of the teachers. I can't say that I remember all the names. I do remember I took an art class, and not disrespectful, but she was very, very old and kind of wizard and white-haired and so. She invited us to her home to see her artworks. And you know, that was quite an honor. And I went, and she had this monster painting of the most voluptuous, beautiful woman I'd ever seen. It was her! And never in my life would I have figured that. But she was quite interesting, and you know, that's what makes life fun.
So you were studying to be a teacher.
Yes.
And was there a certain area of specialization you were aiming for in your teaching curriculum?
In elementary education, you cover all.
Okay. And you also had a minor?
In French.
In French. How did that come about?
I wanted to go to France, and first of all, it's a beautiful language. It's the prettiest language I've ever known. And so I have a minor in French, yes, which got me my job.
So you finished, were you able to finish in the 4-year time period?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And while you were at OSU, in between studying, did you have a job?
No.
No?
No.
Did your husband work
Yes.
on campus? What did he do?
He worked at the pig barn.
Oh, interesting.
Uh-huh. Where you go through lots of pairs of boots.
How was laundry?
I can't remember. We did not have a washing machine, so we had to go somewhere to do that.
Okay.
I remember when we splurged, we would go to the A&W and have a hot dog with the frosted root beer.
Well, I was going to ask what you would do for fun outside of...
Well, that was it. You know, we'd go to a movie every once in a while, but not too much. And you know, sometimes activities on the campus we would participate in.
Okay. Would you attend sporting events on campus?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that experience for you.
Well, the time we were at Stillwater, OSU never won a football game, if that's the kind of experience. And you know, the basketball programs have been pretty good. I know one, Smothers Brothers came to Stillwater, and we went to see them because my parents-in-law came, and we all went to see that. And then they would come for the homecoming parade. And so we would get to see that.
And how would your classmates dress to go to class? How would you dress? What would you wear?
Mainly, well, I can remember wearing a lot of dresses. I know when I first started teaching, it had to be dresses and heels. Now you could take a pair of low heels at your desk for your room, but it was high heels. And my thoughts about that now is that, you know, a lot of the teachers want to be friends with their students, which is fine, but I don't think they need to dress at their students' level. I still think that children ought to know that someone is in charge of that classroom, and they have a dress code in mind, and I think it has to do with respect. Making them respect you.
And at that point, while you were doing your education at OSU, did you have to do student teaching?
Yes.
Where did you do your student teaching?
Oh dear. I think it's Will Rogers. Is that the one that's on North something?
Sure. So you were lucky enough to do it in town.
Yes, very much so.
And how was that experience for you?
It was fun.
You were ready.
I was ready, yeah.
Do you remember much from graduation?
My mother and daddy came up, and we took a picture in our backyard of Mother and me when I graduated. And no, other than that, it happened.
Okay. You know, you're on campus at a time when buildings like the library and student union are relatively new, in 1958, 59. Would you spend any time in those buildings?
We had a close friend. He was assistant dean of men, Dean Troxel, and we became friends with him. And some Sunday nights he would take us out to eat, or I would fix something at our house. And he teased me because I really did not have time for the library when I was getting my bachelor's degree. And yet when I went to Weatherford and started on my master's, I would go to OSU Library. And he teased me, he said, "You never came to the library when you were here, but now that you're gone, here you are." That's how it is.
I think some of that still happens a little bit today, too. You know, as you look back at your time as an undergraduate at OSU, are there any memories or places that just really stick out in your mind?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay.
I'd have to think about that.
Okay.
Because I know there's something that surely.
So after you graduated, what happened?
We moved to Erick.
So you moved to Erick, so you moved back to Western Oklahoma.
Yes.
Why Erick?
This is where his family was.
Okay. And so you started teaching right away?
I had 1 year off.
Okay.
Well, I guess I graduated in spring, and then I had a year off, and then Erick alumni was having a street dance downtown, and the superintendent of schools came up and questioned me about my French, and I said, yes, I have a French minor, and he hired me at a street dance.
And so he hired you to teach at the high school or elementary school?
Well, I taught French at the high school.
Okay.
And then elementary at the elementary building.
Okay. So you're brand new teacher, you're teaching French.
Loved it.
Are you feeling like I could teach French?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was that confident. Like I said, the one young teacher that got me to thinking in French, it stayed with me after that until, after many years of disuse, and yes, you do forget.
So take me through your career as a teacher. Kind of walk me through your different stops and what you taught. So you started out teaching French.
And then the remainder of the time was in the elementary, and then I think I taught French about 5 years, I believe, on a temporary certificate and then 2 extensions. And then I went elementary, and I loved teaching reading and English, and I taught math. It's just that I was not enthused about teaching math, but yeah, they had to have that too. And I did that several years. During that time, I made a teacher in space application, which took me about a week to do, and my superintendent gave me the time off, and I did not get it, but I would have been happy had I had. Like I said, I taught several years because I did not get my master's until, I'd probably taught 10, 15 more years. And I got my master's degree in guidance and counseling, and then came back, and Erick had never had a counselor, and so I had to get in and learn what to do, or teach myself what to do. And eventually I got really, really busy and loved it.
What year did you get your master's?
I don't know.
And you got that at Southwestern?
I got that at Southwestern, yes.
Okay. And so you're the counselor in Erick, and you do that for several more years.
Well, yeah, I do that until I retired.
Okay.
But I love being the counselor. I really did.
And what year did you retire?
2005.
Wow. That's a long career in education.
Yes, it was. 38 years.
Do you still hear from some of your former students?
Yes, I do. And I have a lot of them, and this always throws me. They'll come right up in my face. Do you remember me? Well, they were in the 6th grade. And I look up at this person, and he probably weighs 250 pounds, and face is just like a little pumpkin. And I have to admit, I do not remember them. Very few of them look like they did when they were in school.
Well, that's a long time to teach. That's a lot of students.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, I think, about you, Charlene, is what you do in your spare time. And so I kind of want you to talk about how you got involved with planes, with flying.
That experience, and a friend called from the city, just got his pilot's license, asking us to meet him at the airport, and he'd take us flying. And he did, and he wanted to show a stall, and he went up into a stall, and the engine died. And fortunately, he got it restarted, and I thought no one should be that afraid, so I go enroll in flying lessons. My instructor was at Shamrock, and he had a Piper 140 that I trained in, and he was very patient with me because I told him I'm terrified of this thing, and I know the first flight we went up, he said, take the yoke. Well, I passed out. But he just calmly reached over, opened the little window, and sat back down. And of course, Charlene woke up. He was very patient with me. In fact, I had gone over, we'd been through everything I needed to do, and I had just gone over and was doing touch and goes, practice landings. And I had quite a few hours, but that's all right. I wanted to be sure I had it down pat. And he and I had gone up, and I stopped and I said, you get out now if you want to. In other words, I told him I was ready to solo. Mm-hmm. And I did, and it went fine. And from there on in, I worked through all my phases of it and got my private pilot's license. And then, because proficiency is so vital, and it's hard to justify flying the amount of time just to be proficient, so I just started adding ratings. And I got the private pilot, and then I got the instrument rating, and then I got a multi-instrument rating, and then a CFI, which is Certified Flight Instructor, and then I have all my ground school ratings and so forth. But I was doing them just to stay proficient. And lots of friends, wonderful experiences, and truly, truly wonderful friends, for sure.
And you're also involved with the 99s. Could you tell me about your work with them?
Well, the 99s is a female or women's flying organization, and they promote aviation any way that they can. I took my check ride for a private pilot I can't remember the date, But anyway, I just, soon after I'd taken past my check ride for the private pilot, I got an invitation to go to the 99 meetings, and this was fun because this was hat and glove times, and it was held at the Oklahoma City Golf and Country Club, and I went down. Of course, I was just terrified or in awe of all these women that flew airplanes, and truly enjoyed it, and have been a member ever since. That would have been in the 80s. I've been a member since in the 80s. I was chapter chairman for 82 through 86, and 86 I got the Oklahoma chapter Pilot of the Year award, and then I was chapter chairman again 2011 through 13, or however it goes. Anyway, I just did another stint as chapter chairman, and right now I'm chairman of a 8-state section meeting of 99s that's going to be in Oklahoma City, and that is scheduled for September 16th through the 18th. So I've got the hotel, and we've got our schedule, and we've got our registration forms out, and that is what I'm working on now, and making lots and lots of trips to the city. I was also chairman of Air Race Classic Start when they were in Oklahoma City, and that was a major fundraiser, really, but it was really lots and lots of fun. But we paid money to be a start, but then we also made money, and every bit of money that we make, we use it as scholarships for females. And in fact, just coming up, the 20th of August is Hokey Derby, and this is an air proficiency race where you estimate your speed and fuel, and who gets closest to it is the winner. And through our sponsors, we just have a lot of fun with Hokey Derby, but through our sponsors, we give a girl a $5,000 scholarship to fly. And now, just in the last year or two, the 99s has started a program where they will give a girl money to become a private pilot, upon application. And that is really a tremendous thing, because they give a whole bunch of these out to girls. So we're just making more and more females. So the thing about it, I've often wondered, but I was 38 whenever I got my flying certificate. And at that time, females in the cockpit were not. And of course, and I think it's partly because of the 99s and other women that just kept after it and convinced them that, hey, yeah, we are just as good as you. And so now, now I see the good young girls that come through our chapter here in Oklahoma City, and I think, they have no idea what it was like then. And of course, it's changed so much for me. For example, the glass cockpits. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of the instruments and everything that they use, because I used a section map and a compass heading, and that's how I got from place to place. Instrument was the easiest to fly, because you let air traffic control follow your flight plan for you, because once you're cleared on an instrument flight, there's no restrictions. They clear you all the way. So I always said instrument. In fact, 2 girlfriends and I flew to New York City in a Piper Dakota, and of course one was a big wig in the 99s, and she had to take the kitchen sink. Anyway. But we flew to New York City. One of the 99 members in New York City's mother had a apartment on Park Avenue, and we were invited to her house for a party. And then we were on a boat around Ellis Island on July the 4th and saw the fireworks. And this is the thing about all of our international meetings, and because they just really show you a lot of what you might never be able to do otherwise.
What a great supportive atmosphere too.
Oh yes, oh yes. Anything we can do to get the girls to fly, we do. And I am so thrilled because we kind of, in a lot of chapters, their members are getting old, and it's young girls aren't interested. And I think Oklahoma chapter is so lucky because I go to a meeting and there are as many young girls as there are the older ladies, and it is so fun. And I said, each time I leave, I think, you know, we took care of a whole bunch of business, but we laughed. We laughed a lot. And I thought, isn't it great that you can go to a meeting and have a reason to laugh with each other and so forth? Yeah, I am truly a 99.
Well, with your experiences in the 99s, have you run into any women who were flying Aggies?
Yes, but I was going. We helped. I don't know about females. Stillwater has had some girls that are involved in Oklahoma City, but I can't remember who they are. I know we've helped, the 99s have helped Judge NIFA, National Intercollegiate Flying Association, their finals, and I worked at Altus on that, and then we have a 99 that's an Oklahoma chapter member from DeQueen, Arkansas, and she had two final NIFA final meets at her place, and I flew there. Interesting one time because, you know, to time them, you got a string above you, and the minute they go over that string, and of course you're laying back on the ground. I had an inchworm going over my string, and I was watching him going from side to side. And one year, it was Memorial Day, and we were in the cemetery to do our timing of the planes. But everybody brought their meals and came and visited graves and decorated graves and so forth. I just had a lot of neat experiences. That's all there is to it.
Well, you know, I'm here at your house. I knew exactly what house it was. You have a flag out front, a nice big OSU flag out front. Your front door is orange. There's a lot of orange in your house. How do you show your OSU pride? You feel you have this pride right here in this part of Erick, Oklahoma.
I very definitely do. Because across the street's an OU fan. So I have to put my dukes up and say, hey, I got it too.
Well, looking back at your time on campus and how you feel about the university, how did earning a degree from OSU impact your life?
Oh my goodness gracious, how did it not? As far as I'm concerned, I'm defined by it. It gave me my education, and yeah, I would say it totally impacted.
Are there a lot of OSU alums in this part of Beckham County, or in Beckham County?
Yes, quite a few. In fact, I just think, around here in Erick, there are a lot of people that have graduated from OSU.
Okay. We talked to a lot of alums, and it seems that many folks are loyal to the school, to OSU. What is it about OSU that sparks such loyalty?
The memories. I remember walking through campus and the magnolia trees were in bloom, and then I thought, oh my goodness, what a delightful smell, what a great way to be doing. I like school. I really, really did. And any time on that campus, I was enjoying myself.
Well, tell me a little bit about your children.
I have a son who is a cowboy. No, he did not attend OSU, but he is a true cowboy. I mean, you know, he wears the chaps and he takes care of cattle, and in fact, he had to go unwrap some wire from around one of my bulls of my cattle. And then I have a daughter, Suzanne, that she lives northwest of Sarah, and then I have a daughter, Lynette, who lives at Clinton.
Okay. And you have grandchildren?
Oh, yes. 11.
Whoa!
Yeah, 11. And not only that, now that go forth and bear fruit, I do believe. Those 11 grandkids I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least 8. I may be forgetting some. At least 8 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I said go forth and create.
Holidays must be fun.
Oh, they are. Christmas before last, I had them in here, and I had wall-to-wall tables. So now I take them to the barn, my barn, which is about 15 miles away, because there's plenty of room, and I can handle, you know, seating them, and you know, I used to. There was this guy had a column in the paper, and he would tell the family dinners that they ate sitting on the bathtub sides and holding the food. And I thought, well, I've never had them do that, but there's a lot of people.
Well, when we started talking today, you were telling me about going to town on Saturday.
Okay.
In Sarah, right?
Yes.
What are some changes through the years? So, what was in Sayre then that may not be in Sayre now, and vice versa? How has Sayre changed through the years? So, Sayre's the county seat.
Well,
it had a movie theater.
There were 2 movie theaters. We had a choice on Saturday afternoon. There were 2 movie theaters. Naturally, the creamery is no longer there.
Probably several banks.
Well, there's still at least 2 over there, I think. But other than that, I don't remember. And I know everything has been modernized and so forth, but I don't remember about changes, how it's changed. Of course, the cars and styles and everything changed. That's a given, but courthouse has always been there, as long as I can remember.
When you were growing up, did you see much blowing dust?
Oh, yes.
I mean, you grew up in the 40s.
Yeah, and I think we were, you know, it was probably the end or close to the end of the Dust Bowl. I do have a picture. Mother would dampen tea towels and hang them over the windows to keep the dust out. But I have a picture, and AR and I had made fudge, and I remember because the dirt was just blowing horrendously, and we were testing or eating the fudge out of the pan.
Did your parents have any thoughts on The Grapes of Wrath, the Steinbeck novel, or did they feel strongly about it either way?
I don't know.
Okay.
So evidently not, or I would, you know. We were not in as bad shape as like the Panhandle was. You know, yes, we did lay fallow of the land, but now, you know, they leave the stubble to help hold the things then. But I remember one, you know, the big black cloud. I remember one at one time of that, and that's about all. And then the picture and the memory that when that picture was taken.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've retired, you've traveled the world, yet you always come back home to Beckham County.
Yes.
What is special about Beckham County to you?
It's home. I know I went to Hawaii, and it was beautiful. I loved it, but everywhere I went there was a line to do something, and I thought, I am going to be so glad to get home and I can spread my arms out and just twirl around and twirl around, because I don't do lines well. And sure enough, like I said, I got home and it was just like this. Plenty of space, plenty of room.
So you are retired, but you also have a close relationship with the land as well. You also farm.
Yes. Well, I raise cattle,
Mm-hmm.
and so yes, I raise grass to feed the cattle, and then my son helps me, like when the cattle need to be worked, or when I lose them in the flood.
It's good to have a son who's a cowboy.
Yes, it is definitely, and not only that, but his two sons are just as good as he is, and so I have 3 cowboys, and they went to work for me last night just to get some hot water from around one of my bulls.
So we've been talking a lot. We kind of did this really quick fast forward through your life. Super fast forward. What are we leaving out? What are we missing?
In other words, what do I do now?
That would work, yes. What's next on the agenda for you?
Oh, goodness gracious, I don't know. I can't say. I really don't know. Some things I kind of do on a whim.
Well, Charlene, you've definitely had an impact in this part of Oklahoma with your long career as an educator, and it's really great to hear how you and the 99s are continue to inspire the next generation of women pilots, and I really appreciate you taking some time out to sit down with me and share about your life.
Hi, thank you also. It was a long drive for you, but I appreciate you making it.
Well, like I said, we're definitely in western Oklahoma.
Well, you're only 7 miles from the Texas line.
Thanks again.
Yes, and thank you.